Good morning. So today we're going to continue on our lesson from the last time, which was about slope-intercept form. What we did last is we took this slope-intercept form that you see here, this y equals mx plus b. We learned that m was slope and that b was our y-intercept, which meant where the line crosses the y-axis. So here, when we were doing this the last time, what we did is we looked at, for instance, a problem like number 5, and we said the number in front of the x is 2, so therefore my slope is 2. And then we said after the x I have -5, and so therefore my y-intercept is -5. I then looked and I said, okay, my line's got to pass through 0, 5. So once it passes through 0, 5, I then use my slope to then count my rise over my run. I remembered my slope guy here, this guy over here. I remembered him because I wanted to make sure that I was doing my lines the right way. And I know in our homework that I gave you guys, some of you guys did the first few correct, and then I think when you came back to it, you did the other ones the other way. So just double check, make sure that you're doing the correct slope. After you draw your line or after you write your slope-intercept form, make sure that you have the correct positive or negatives. So for this one, it is a positive slope, and so therefore I'm counting up, and then I count up 2 over 1, put a dot. Up 2 over 1, put a dot. Up 2 over 1, put a dot. And then I connected my lines and I got my my line on the graph. So this was a little bit of what we did prior, and that was simply just taking that slope-intercept form and making a graph. Today what we're going to do is we're going to take the graph and we're going to make the linear equation. So we have to remember everything that we learned here, the m and the b, and we're going to apply it. So we're going to go to right here, writing linear equations. You'll notice I already made a slope guy. So I like to have slope guy there. He helps me, he reminds me of what my slope should be looking like. Should it be positive? Should it be negative? So for here, what we're doing is they give me a line and I have to make my y-intercept form. My slope-intercept form, sorry. So I'm going to just write real quick here. I'm going to write y equals mx plus b. Remembering, okay, I need to put it in this form because that is my slope-intercept form. So here, I'm going to look. Finding my slope and finding where the line crosses the y-axis are both simple concepts. However, I like to find where it crosses the y first because it gives me a point of reference. So I go ahead and I find my b first. So my b here is at -2. So I just write -2. It gives me a little point to notice. Then I look here and I need to first recognize, hey, this is a positive line. It's a positive line because it's going up like this. So if it's a positive line, my slope is going to be positive. So right away, I know m is going to be positive. Then I'm going to count my rise over my run, my rise over my run. I'm finding out what's that? What is my slope? So this was something we did a long time ago with the beginning of this remote learning, and that was find the slope from a line. We're just taking that we learned before and applying it. So I count and I go up 1, and then it's over 1, 2, 3. So if it's up 1 and over 3, I know my slope is 1/3. Again, at this point, after I write my slope, I'm going to double check. Hey, slope guy, is it positive? Slope guy says it's positive. So I'm going to make sure that it is positive 1/3. Now that I have my m, my slope, and my b, my y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis, I can write my equation. And all I'm doing here is I'm simply plugging it in. There you go. So we get an equation of y equals 1/3 x minus 2. You'll notice that in slope-intercept form, it says plus b, which is true. Why didn't I write plus b? Hopefully you just said because b is negative. And adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting a positive. So why not put less symbols and just make it minus? And if you said that, you're right. All right, let's look at number 2. Number 2, I go ahead and I look, and number 2 crosses the y-axis at 7. And my slope here, first I notice right away, sorry, we're backwards, I always forget. It's negative. Slope guy says it's negative. So if it's negative, then I know my slope is negative. But I'm still going to count my rise over my run. And so if I count, it actually goes down 5 and then over 2. So if I look, and I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit more, but every time I do this, the computer slows down a little bit. But if we look here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it goes over 2. 1, 2. So my slope is negative 5/2. You'll notice I didn't change that to be a mixed number. I can simplify my slope, but I'm not changing things to be mixed numbers because it's a ratio. Slope is a ratio, your rise over your run. So I can't make it a mixed number. I keep it improper. Just make sure I simplify it. So here my equation ends up being y equals negative 5 over 2x plus 7. All right. We're going to do one more on this page. We're going to do number 5. Number 5 here, I want to notice real quick. See how this one, it crosses the y-axis at the origin? That means that my b is 0. And then I go ahead and I look and I say, okay, it goes up 4 and it goes over 3. I notice that it's a positive slope. So therefore, my slope is positive 4/3. And now, there it is. Positive 4/3. I go ahead and I plug it into my equation. It says y equals 4/3 x plus 0. Now right away you should be saying, that's a lot of symbols. And I'm sure at this point in class, I would have so many of you going, raising your hand saying, Ms. Schultz, do we have to write the 0? Do we have to write the 0? And the answer is absolutely not. It should be y equals 4/3 x. You should simplify it. Just the same, and I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to scratch this graph off, so pretend it doesn't exist here. Okay. If I had a graph and I got an equation that was y equals 1x plus 8. Now again, the graph that was there was not y equals 1x plus 8. But let's say I got that. A lot of you, I'm hoping that you'll notice you don't actually need that 1. If I ever get a slope where my slope is 1, where it's going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, you should know that a coefficient of 1 doesn't need to be written. It's not wrong. It's just a lot of extra symbols. So for this particular problem, I could have simplified it to y equals x plus 8. And those two are the exact same thing. And so I want to make sure that we understand that that's clear, because it's important that we recognize that anytime I have a coefficient of 1, I don't necessarily need it. So that is taking a line and making it into slope-intercept form. We look for our b, we look for our m, we plug it in. So now, these are the same things. The only difference between this one is the fact that I didn't write M with a line, B with a line. I'm expecting you to figure that out, and I'm expecting you to still put it into slope-intercept form here. So for instance, here, I might note off to the side, and I don't think I actually did. No, I didn't. That it crosses the Y at 4, and then I'll note that it's a negative slope, and then I would say it's going down 4 over 3, and so therefore this slope intercept, or this equation for slope intercept form, would be y equals negative 4/3 x plus and plus 4. And so I would have just that. And that would be my slope intercept form. All right. And then we're going to do 2 more. These are multiple choice. You'll notice that on these lines, there are no points. That's okay. It just looks a little different. We're still going to look for the same exact things. So I'm going to look, where does it cross the y-axis? And this I'm going to have to try and zoom in again. We'll see how long it takes. Give it a second. All right. That wasn't too bad. My computer's getting faster. All right. So I look, it crosses at 5. And I guess I could have noticed that from the multiple choice. All of them say plus 5. The next I'm going to say that right there is a negative slope. So if it's a negative slope, that means that I can go ahead and I can say, meh, not going to be A, meh, not going to be C. So right now I'm looking, is it going down 2 over 1, or is it going down 1 over 2? Because my numerator tells me up or down, and my denominator tells me left, right. And so you would say it's actually going down 1 and over 2. Looking at number 12, I would do the exact same thing. The first thing I would say is, oh, it crosses the y at negative 1. Oh, well, it's not going to be A, and it's not going to be C, because those say plus 1, and I want minus 1. Next, I say, look, I have a positive slope, and I have a negative slope. Well, I know that right off the bat. That is a positive slope. I don't even have to figure out my slope. I know it's a positive slope. And I could check. Yes, it goes up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And so I could figure it out that way. So today I'm going to have you practice some of these. It shouldn't take too long. All you're doing, you're taking the lines, you're finding the B, you're finding the M, and then you're writing your slope intercept form. You guys are doing an awesome job. Slope intercept form is super important to a lot of what we do. I am going to check in with you tomorrow. Tomorrow, let's do a conference. So I'm going to write in there in our agenda. I'm going to put a reminder out there. Tomorrow, we are going to meet in Schoology on conferences. If you're my core 3, I'll meet you at 10. If you're my core 4, I'll meet you at 10:30. And this is kind of wrapping up our slope intercept form here. So I will talk to you all later. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.